started late with this September wrap up, but like we always say every month when we have our late wrap ups, better late than never.
I don't know what the deal has been recently. We've been in a little reading funk.
It's surpassed a slump at this point. It's a funk.
Funk.
There was a lot of really great books I wanted to read in September. I only got through about half of them, but I do still want to read all of the rest that were on my list.
I think I'm the exact same way. I think I only got to a few that I said I was going to get to, and that's okay. That happens sometimes.
We started off this year really strong. We were reading a lot of books, we were reading a lot of good books, so now it's just balancing out.
I'm hoping that the fall season is just going to get us locked back into reading, because there really is no better season than the fall to just get wrapped up in a little cozy blanket, get some snacks going, get the vibes right, and read a book.
All that being said, we actually did get to read a couple books in September, so today we're just going to go over all of those. Before we get started, we do want to take a second to talk about today's sponsor, Book of the Month.
You guys know how much we love Book of the Month. They are a monthly subscription service, and their mission is to bring the best new fiction forward. Every month they ship in this blue box, and I went ahead and picked The Boyfriend by Frida McFadden. I love Frida McFadden, and when I saw they had her new release as their mystery thriller pick for this month, I had to get it. It's going to be perfect for October, and I can't wait to read it.
And then the book I chose for October is The Book of Witching by C.J. Cook. This one sounded like a mix between a mystery and a fantasy type of read, so I can't wait to read it in October. Book of the Month does offer the best prices on new release hardcover fiction, as well as having free shipping and a loyalty rewards program.
They do focus on new and emerging authors, which allows them to offer us books that we might not have discovered otherwise.
As you guys can see, we love our Book of the Month books. We love getting on the app every month to see what new choices they have. So if you guys are interested, definitely check them out. We will leave their link in the description, and you can get your first book for only $5 with the code PUMPKIN. Thank you so much, Book of the Month, for sponsoring today's video. Now let's go ahead and talk about all the books we read in September.
The first book I have is Uglies by Scott Westerfield. This adaptation just came out on Netflix with Joey King and Chase Stokes, so that was the real reason why I wanted to read this. This is a YA dystopian book where when the kids turn 16, they get a surgery that makes them pretty, which is a crazy concept. But there was also deeper lessons in there about our society and like how we all view ourselves and how much pressure we put on ourselves. So I really liked that aspect of it and kind of comparing our two worlds. This is one of those books though where as soon as it ends, I feel like I'm fully invested. Like I was fine the entire way through, and then as soon as it's about to end, I'm like, oh, the story's gonna start now. So now I'm like forced to read the other books. But I'm excited to watch the adaptation. I'm really curious to see if they're gonna have any differences, and I could easily imagine Tally as Joey King. So I think it'll be good. I think I gave it a 3.5.
I know people who read the book a long time ago are really mad that it's Joey King, because that's not who they envisioned when they were reading it.
Yeah.
Since I didn't read too many books last month, I'll start with the one that I think was my favorite, and it was House of Hollow by Crystal Sutherland. Amanda read this one last year and was absolutely right. This was an amazing book. In this, Iris and her two sisters went missing 10 years ago for about a month, and when they returned, they couldn't remember anything that happened to them. Flash forward to now in the present, when one of the sisters goes missing again, the other two have to come together and try and piece together what happened all those years ago. Honestly, one of my favorite books so far this year. It had everything I want in a fall book. It had mystery, intrigue, a creepy setting, gross, unsettling scenes, and twists and turns. It just had everything. This one really blew me away. I don't know if there's ever going to be a second book, but if there was, I'm definitely going to read it. I gave this book a 4.5, which is a perfect book on my scale. So definitely go read it for the spooky season if you're thinking about it.
The next one I have is my blind book of the month, and it was 13 by Steve Kavanaugh. I had been hearing so many great things about this book from very early on in our reading journey, and I know a few of you guys had recommended this book to me, and it started out so strong. I was super locked in and ready to see what everything was going to be about with this one, because I know the serial killer wasn't on trial, he was on the jury, like it says right here. But I don't know, I think things started slowing down very early on for me, and I was just ready for it to be done. Like I quickly wanted to know what happens, like let's move on. And that happens to me sometimes with mystery thrillers. I think we're discovering I like suspense books rather than a mystery thriller, so maybe that was the problem, I don't know. But I ended up giving it a 3 stars. It feels like one of those books where I'm just gonna forget everything that happened. I'm also in a slump, so maybe that could be why. I think you should read it.
I do want to read it. I had a book I loved this month, which means I had to have a book that I really didn't love. And that for me was Still Beating by Jennifer Hartman. This was a complete shock because everyone in the comments loved this book. Even on Goodreads, all of the reviews are pretty high, and I was excited going into it. I don't know what about this story just kind of rubbed me the wrong way. I can see what they were trying to do. I think I was just waiting for it to be a little deeper. I was waiting for a little bit more. In this story, our main character is kidnapped along with her sister's fiance, and they are trapped in a serial killer's basement together. They've known each other for years. They don't really get along, and this is marketed sort of as like a dark romance. I wish I could better articulate my thoughts on this, but I just don't know how. I didn't like the execution of the story, and that's all. I did appreciate the healing bits we got towards the ending, but just overall, it wasn't my favorite. I think I ended up giving it like a 2.5. I would be interested in reading other books by this author, but I was a little disappointed because all of the reviews are pretty phenomenal and I just didn't feel the same way. But that's okay.
I did end up reading Coraline by Neil Gaiman, and that was such a fun experience because we watched the movie a long time ago. So it's crazy that I hadn't read the book yet. But because it is such a short book, I loved how straight to the point it was, and I really enjoyed comparing all of the differences between the book and the movie. I ended up giving it a 4 stars, so I'm glad I finally got to read this.
If you watched the reading vlog this month, you guys know I read The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson. Completely different than what I was expecting based on the little knowledge I knew about the TV adaptation. This was a super short, easy to read horror novel about a group of people in a haunted house. It had a lot of eerie, gothic, atmospheric vibes, which I really enjoyed for the fall time. And it is one of those stories that's hard to decipher what's real and what's not, so I liked that aspect of it. I did end up enjoying it. The ending was a little underwhelming for me, but I still liked it overall. I ended up giving it a 3.5, and I can't wait to read more by Shirley Jackson because both books that I've read by her, I've liked.
In that reading vlog, I did read The Unmaking of June Pharaoh by Adrienne Young, and it was actually fantastic. It has been a while since I've read a book that I actually love, and I tried really hard in the reading vlog to not spoil anything. Basically, we're following June Pharaoh, and all of the women in her family have this sort of curse, and she's just trying to get down to the bottom of it. It was the perfect blend of magic, mystery, and romance, and I really hope this one becomes an adaptation soon. I gave this one 4.5 stars.
The second book I read in that reading vlog was Like Mother, Like Daughter by Kimberly McCreight. In this book, we have Cleo and her mother, Kat, and when Kat goes missing, Cleo has to investigate what happens and discovers she might have not known her mom as well as she thought she did. I did like it, but it wasn't my favorite of the month. I believe I gave it a 3.5, but I have read other books by Kimberly McCreight and I really enjoyed those, so I am willing to read more by this author. I did like the story, but it was the ending that wasn't my favorite.
The other book I read in that reading vlog was The Simple Wild by K.A. Tucker. In this one, Calla goes to visit her father that she does have an estranged relationship with, and when she gets there, she ends up meeting a guy that works for her dad. There's a lot of family drama, but then there's also that small town feel, grumpy sunshine trope, and slow burn. And I don't typically love slow burn romances, but I think it was done very well in this one. I don't know if I'm going to continue on with the series, but I really loved the way that this one left off. I ended up giving it a 4 star.
Those were all the books I completed in September, but I did start a couple others. But the one I'm currently reading is We Used to Live Here by Marcus Kluwer, and I am liking it so far. In this story, we have a young couple who just recently purchased a home that they plan to renovate and flip. And one night, a family arrives at their front door and says that they used to live here and they'd like to look around and give a tour to their kids. And strange things start occurring after this happens. I am really enjoying it so far. I have no idea where the ending is going to go, but I do know that this recently got picked up for a Netflix adaptation, so I cannot wait to see how they're going to adapt it. I'd say it has the perfect amount of creepy scenes because I'm in no way scared necessarily, but there are creepy things happening that I want answers to. So I am liking it. It's going well so far. We'll see how it ends. Let me know if you have read it though, because all of the reviews that I have heard about it have been really good.
The next one we have is our Literal Besties Book Club book, Middle of the Night by Riley Sager. Lauren is still reading it, but I did just finish it, and I gotta say, it's not my favorite Riley Sager book. It was good, it was interesting, loved the concept. I was really eager to see what happened in the past, but again, I kept feeling like I was ready to just figure out what was gonna happen. I'm done being in the middle, just put me in the end, and let's get down to it. So not my favorite Riley Sager book, but it was still very good, very interesting, and I still love him. So 3.5 for me. I'm glad that so many of you guys in the book club really did enjoy it.
The last book I have to talk about today, because I did start it, is Plain Bad Heroines by Emily M. Danforth. This one I am enjoying. It's a lot more involved than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was just going to be a horror story about this all-girls boarding school. A bunch of murders happened here, and years later there's like a film crew making a movie about it, so they're back on campus and creepy stuff starts happening. This one is reminding me of The God of the Woods. I keep relating it to that just because it's a recent read where we were following a bunch of different people and different timelines. It is a huge book, so it's taking me forever to read. I am going to have this one trickle into October, and I definitely plan on finishing it. I'm loving it so far though. I'm hoping that the ending is crazy and that this ends up being like a 5-star read for me.
So those were all the books that we got to in September. Like we said, it wasn't our best reading month, but that's okay because the fall reading months are coming and I have high hopes. This was still pretty solid though. We got about 6 books done.
I have faith in October. I think that's going to be the best reading month for us of the entire year. We're going to read nothing but 5-star books, and it's going to make up for all these months that we've been in the slump. That's pretty much it for today's video though. Let us know in the comments if you've read any of these books, if you enjoyed them, and also let us know what your favorite read of September was. Reminder as always to join the Literal Besties Book Club if you haven't already. That link will be in the description and it's free to join. That book of the month link will also be in the description, so make sure to check both out. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and we will see you guys next time.